Hi, this is Michael P. Coleman, Content Director for Brother Be Well. Thanking you for checking out this series, this trauma and healing series brought to you by Blue Shield of California's Blue Sky Initiative.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Let's talk about environmental self-care. And I'm kind of, if you sense me kind of hesitating on this question, I feel like I'm a bit of a, not to be completely authentic. The office that you see looks great. What's on the other side of that camera is a little less organized than I like it to be. So I want to get at what environmental self-care is all about. I understand it means, for instance, having an organized, well-maintained, clutter-free workspace, business space, and home environment, clean clothes that are ready to go, well-maintained modes of transportation. A lot of us, I have a feeling, might fall a little bit short. Can you give us a few examples of environmental self-care and talk about why that's so important?
I think that for some of us, our environment is a reflection of what is going on with us in our minds, our physical health, whatever it is. But also, when I talk about environmental self care, be kind to yourself. You know, you do the best that you can to have a beautiful background behind you, so what you're sharing with people looks beautiful, looks organized, and looks presented. The other parts, just like we work in self care for our emotional health, our psychological health, everything is a work in progress. So do the best you can on daily basis to, hey, I'm not gonna be on my phone when I'm on bed. So I can have a clean, serene space where I don't have the blue light that is gonna interrupt my sleep. Make sure that you change your sheets. Maybe you don't have 20,000 count set of sheets, but something that is going to make you feel good. Make sure that you have something that is joyful in your house, that you look at something like, you know what, I like that. I went for a walk and I found a rock. It may be kind of weird to people, but I found a rock when I was on a walk. And I remember looking at it and I was like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. And now I put it in my house. And every time I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, that was such a beautiful day. It made me feel good. And we create an environment that we feel comfortable with. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be right for you.
And I love that example because it reminds me, Grace Cecilio is our mindfulness expert here at Brother Be Well, and she's taught me to really be mindful during those walks. There was a time not that long ago, I walked for cardio for the physical health benefits, but I was so focused on either the music playing in my earbud or the meeting that I had coming up in half an hour or what I said yesterday that I might not have liked. I wasn't really enjoying my environment as I was walking. So there was a time I would have missed that rock, Julio. So that's a great example, and it reminds all of us to be mindful as we're doing all of these things, and the little nuggets, the things that you'll pick up that'll enhance your life or make you happy will come to you, or they won't really come to you. They're already there. You'll just see them. You'll take that all in and experience that in a very different way. Really appreciate that. Let's talk about financial health care that we haven't touched as much on here on this platform yet. Why is financial self care so important? And what are some of the examples of that?
Oh my God. It is a horrible necessity that we have in our lives, right? I think that we talked before about how there's things that we like to do, there's pleasurable things, but without being at work, without having a paycheck, we wouldn't be able to do any of the things. So part of the self care is to know am I living within my means? Am I overspending? Am I like looking at the right things? I mean, for me, I would love to go every morning to buy coffee, whether it's a Starbucks or Pete's or anything. But when I think about it, like when I put that money aside, I was able to go on a trip. I saved the money that I will spend on coffee every day, coffee and a pastry, and I took a weekend in Vegas, you know, and I was so proud of myself, and it wasn't much. It's like $6, $7 that, but like when you are overspent, when you don't have money in your pocket, I know what it is like to be absolutely broke. That I remember I used to go to years ago. I'm gonna date myself. Wells Fargo had this option that you could get an advance on your direct deposit, and every paycheck I will have an advance on my direct deposit, and I will be like freaking out. How am I gonna pay rent? How am I gonna do this? And eventually, I started looking at all the things that I was spending money that I didn't really need to, and that gave me the opportunity not to have an advance on every paycheck and put about like $50, $70 away. And it brought so much peace to my life where I didn't have to freak out about what am I going to eat? How am I going to pay rent? Am I going to be able to survive?
And if I could add to that, Julio, I've been there as well, being flat broke, and I didn't have the paycheck advance issue. I can remember a time in my life where the sound of the phone ringing made me sick to my stomach because it meant a bill collector was calling me. And now, having gotten control of that, now, the robocalls are a little irritating to me, but it doesn't even occur to me that someone's going to call me to ask me about a past due bill because I'm more careful about those cups of coffee and the pastries. I'm not wealthy by any means, but I've learned how to prioritize what I'm spending, and I decided to brew my own coffee and put that towards something that was more valuable. So I've absolutely been there. That's a great example. The coffee and pastries add up. Nothing against Starbucks and pizza. I love both of them, but to do them on a regular basis or even a daily basis, and for a while I was doing it twice a day. That was kind of
Mhm.
adding up, and I didn't even realize it. Didn't even realize it.
And I had to
Um.
find something that was a powerful motivator for me, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I remember talking about decolonizing myself, like being free, being a proud man of color, and all of that. And then I realized that the system was working against me to keep me with a low credit score, to keep me broke, to keep me uh, in a bad situation where I can be a victim of predatory practices from banks, agencies, everything. And I was like, there's no bigger power than to be strong, independent, and the things that we can carry on and say, hey, I have a 760 score in my credit. When years ago, if I had a 500, I would have been the happiest person in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I don't know about time passes so quickly. It seems like just yesterday that was the case. It's been several years ago for me, but I still, you brought my mind back to that moment. And you're not really taking care of yourself. We're talking about self-care. You're not really taking care of yourself when you're so stressed out, because no one wants to be behind on bills. So you really want to be, diligent, prioritize some things, decide what's important to you and what's not, and stop wasting money if you can get away with it. So really some powerful examples with it. We don't want to overlook, we can't overlook physical healthcare when we're talking about self-care regimen. And we've talked about it, different aspects of that on this platform, certainly, but could you briefly give us a few examples of physical healthcare upon which we can act?
Recognize that we are not cookie cutter, that physical healthcare, self care looks different for each one of us. First of all, I had to work on myself for years to be comfortable with the skin that I walk in, to be comfortable with who I am, and recognizing that I'm never gonna look like somebody else that has a completely different history than mine or background or whatever else. And within this skin, I make sure that I go to my physical check-ins once a year at least. I go to the dentist a couple of times a year. that I make sure that I brush my teeth, that I keep myself clean, that I can walk out being proud of the things that are within my control to take care of myself. Some of us have health conditions that, hey, just do the best you can. Do the best you can to take care of yourself. Once again, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. And
Love it.
self care is so important, just to fall in love with the person that you are, and to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm not perfect, but I'm a piece of art.
I love that too. I feel like I keep stealing turns from you, Julio. I'm gonna borrow that one too, if you don't mind. We've
Absolutely.
got just we've got just a few more minutes left, so I appreciate your time. The National Institute for Mental Health might have us adding gratitude and focusing on positivity during that list. We've touched on that a little bit. Can you think of any more quick examples of how we can other things we might want to add to the self care list that we might have forgot about?
You cannot take care of other people if you don't take care of yourself. I still, like you're talking about, like borrowing things that I say. I took this from the airlines, and I'm still waiting for the day they come knocking on my door telling me I cannot use it, but I don't care. When you're in an airplane and they're telling you what to do in case of an emergency, they tell you to put the mask on first, right? So most of the times people think, yeah, because if I don't put the mask on first, then I cannot help other people. But there's another side to it. If you don't put the mask on first, then somebody else is going to have to step in to take care of yourself. So somebody has to take care of you. You're distracting from other people being able to take care of themselves. So the most loving thing that I can do is making sure that I'm well, that I take care of myself, that I practice wellness, so I don't need to be rescued. So other people can share a healthy, well balanced, loving time with me.
Love it, Coolio. Just before we wrap up, I want to talk about time blocking. It occurs to me that all of the tips that you've given us, someone might be watching this or listening to this and figuring out where am I going to find the time to do all of this. Time blocking is a planning method that basically you take your day and divide it up into little blocks, and you decide just not what you're going to do, but when you're going to do it. As a bit of an aside, I think millennials or younger people are calling this time blocking. People my age used to call it using a planner, using your schedule. Can you touch on time blocking? What are your thoughts about that as a tool to help us achieve all of the things we talked about today?
Of course, I think that we're very clear on the idea that we have to be at work at certain time, and then we go to lunch at certain time, and this is when we get off, right? So if I can dedicate that scheduled time for a place of employment, why can I do it for myself? I deserve to take myself out on dates. Like there's times that I block, like Saturdays from 7 to 12, that I like going to the farmers market. I meet a friend at the farmers market. I sit down, have coffee, walk around, look at the fruits, and just like people watch, where I just get to enjoy seeing everything. I think that one of the most beautiful things that I learned years ago, um, I was talking to one of my friends who happens to be a nun, and she was talking to me about how Jesus cured blindness. And I was like, how can you cure blindness? Right. And I was walking back to my house, and I remember looking to my right. At the time, I used to live in San Francisco. And when I looked to my right, I was like, oh my God, I never noticed those hills. And I never noticed the building in here. And I had this moment where I was like, I've been so fixated in blindness as a physical ailment that I never thought about my blindness was that I was always so busy and such a rush that I didn't take time to look at all the other things that were around me. So there was kind of like a blindness was lifted because I was able to enjoy in a moment of relaxation and peace and walking without a rush all the beautiful things that were around me.
Julio, you've done a beautiful job, and believe it or not, we're out of time for this particular video. So I really want to thank you for all of your time. Appreciate you always. Great, fantastic tips. Julio Cruz, Integrated Behavioral Health Specialist, Brother Be Well Clinical Advisor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you next time. And I want to thank you for listening in and or watching this video. This is brought to you. It's a part of our a series brought to you by Blue Shield of California's Blue Sky Initiative. You can check out that incredible initiative, read all about it at this website. We're going to run it for you, bluesky.blueshieldca.com. That's bluesky.blueshieldca.com. Check it out. Another website that I want to tell you about before you get away from us is our own, brotherbewell.com. If you like this video, you can find videos just like it on a number of topics, audio podcasts as well, print pieces, really some compelling personal stories on that website. It's all at brotherbewell.com. We're a membership supported service. So if you can join us as a member, that would be great. If you want to start out a little more slowly, give us your email address if you would, and you'll sign up for our blog, and we'll start sending you updates 2 or 3 times a week when videos just like this one go live. So check that all out at brotherbewell.com. My name, Michael P. Coleman, Content Director with Brother Be Well, thanking you for watching this video or checking us out if you're listening to us. I want to thank you for that. Thank you for your time, and invite you to do 2 quick things for me. Take great care of yourself, and then take care of somebody else if you would. Bye-bye. God bless.